The moment Miss Nell and Miss Wanda came face to face, the tension was immediate and unmistakable. From the very first seconds, viewers could feel that this was not just another minor disagreement. The air between them was thick with emotion. What began as a discussion about the men quickly spiraled into something far more personal. The shift was subtle but clear. Voices rose slightly, gestures became sharper, and body language started to stiffen. Anyone watching could tell that boundaries were being tested and that the clash was about much more than just words. Miss Wanda made a statement about another woman's husband, and that was the spark. It was not just gossip or casual commentary. In Miss Nell's eyes, a line had been crossed. Protecting family and upholding respect for loved ones was non-negotiable. Her response was immediate and fiery. She declared, sharply and without hesitation, that the husband needed to be checked. This was more than just a reaction to a comment. It was a statement about respect, accountability, and the authority one holds when it comes to their own household. The intensity of Miss Nell's emotions revealed how seriously she viewed boundaries, particularly when it came to her family. Miss Wanda, however, seemed almost unbothered. She brushed off Miss Nell's reaction and continued to assert her point. In her view, the commentary was acceptable, justified, and even necessary. She insisted that speaking up in that manner was okay, and that she had every right to be vocal. This refusal to back down escalated the situation even further. Miss Nell was not only responding to what was said, but also to what it represented. Miss Wanda was inserting herself into a sensitive matter and then doubling down when challenged. The conversation had already gone beyond the topic of men arguing. Now it was about family, respect, and the lines that people refused to let others cross. When Miss Wanda responded, "Trust me, your damn daughter checked him," the room shifted in energy. That statement was provocative and intentional. It moved the confrontation from being about the men to being about children, respect, and personal boundaries. Miss Nell's response, "Why can't it be my damn daughter? Why you gotta be my daughter?" reflected frustration and the feeling of being disrespected in her own space. It was no longer a casual argument. Anger and personal stakes had entered the equation, creating a clash that was raw, authentic, and unforgettable. Miss Nell's emotions poured out unfiltered. Her declaration, "God damn it, 'cause I'm angry," captured the essence of her feelings. This was not performance for the cameras. This was genuine frustration from someone whose family had been dragged into a situation unnecessarily. Miss Wanda, conversely, showed little intention of de-escalating the matter. Repeatedly stating, "I don't give a goddamn," she emphasized her refusal to step back. This contrast in energy set the stage for a confrontation that could not be easily resolved. Miss Nell's approach came from protection, pride, and the need to uphold respect. Miss Wanda's came from dominance, bluntness, and an unwillingness to be silenced. Neither stance was inherently wrong, but together they created inevitable sparks. The clash quickly consumed the original topic, which had been about men arguing. Observers noted how the conversation shifted entirely from the initial discussion. What was meant to be commentary on relationships became a heated, personal confrontation. This highlights how emotions, when left unchecked, can transform even simple conversations into something explosive. Miss Nell initially seemed to want to regain control, to pull back the discussion and restore order. Her body language suggested a desire to finish the conversation without further escalation, but Miss Wanda's unwavering energy made this nearly impossible. Each attempt to calm the situation was met with resistance, illustrating the difficulty of balancing emotion and control in heated moments. The repeated exchanges, the use of profanity, and the refusal to back down underscored the depth of the clash. Ms. Nell's insistence that her children were off limits emphasized her protective nature. Whatever grievances existed between the adults, they did not extend to the next generation. Ms. Wanda, on the other hand, maintained her assertive stance, implying that anger was not an excuse to avoid accountability. This dynamic resonated deeply with viewers because it mirrors real-life family conflicts. Many people have experienced situations where conversations escalate due to perceived disrespect toward loved ones, especially children. The history and personalities of both women added another layer of complexity. Ms. Wanda has long been known for her directness and refusal to sugarcoat her words. To her supporters, this is honesty and fearlessness. To her critics, it is overstepping and invasiveness. Ms. Nell, in contrast, is known for quieter strength. She chooses when to confront and how to assert herself, but when crossed, she does not shy away. The clash was not merely about differing opinions, but about contrasting approaches to respect, boundaries, and emotional control. As the argument progressed, it became clear that de-escalation was no longer an option. The intensity of the emotions, combined with the refusal to yield from either side, created a situation that had gone beyond repair. Lines had been drawn, words had been said, and relationships were inevitably affected. For viewers, this was a rare glimpse into the mechanics of raw, unfiltered conflict. It revealed the emotional stakes involved when pride, family, and personal boundaries intersect. Social media reactions reflected the impact of the confrontation. Viewers debated the actions of both women, discussing who was right, who was wrong, and whether the clash could have been handled differently. Some praised Ms. Nell for standing up for her family, while others supported Ms. Wanda's insistence on speaking her truth. This divide in opinion highlights how relatable and compelling the moment was. People connected to the emotional authenticity of the interaction, recognizing the underlying struggles and motivations of each woman. Beyond the immediate argument, the confrontation also illuminates broader patterns in human behavior. The clash demonstrated how pride, protection, and emotional investment shape interactions. Ms. Nell's protective instincts triggered intense emotional responses when her family was perceived to be threatened. Ms. Wanda's assertiveness showcased how individuals navigate power, dominance, and the expression of truth as they see it. When these energies collide, the results are often dramatic and revealing. In reality television, conflicts like this stand out because they feel unscripted. Many arguments on these shows are exaggerated, staged, or edited for drama. This exchange, however, appeared authentic and spontaneous. The emotions on display were genuine, and the reactions were instinctive. Viewers were drawn not to the superficial drama, but to the deeper psychological and emotional dynamics at play. This is why the moment continues to be a topic of discussion among fans and casual observers alike. The clash also emphasizes the importance of boundaries in family and social interactions. Ms. Nell's insistence that her children were not to be involved demonstrates a commitment to protecting family members from unnecessary harm. Boundaries are crucial in maintaining respect, trust, and emotional safety. When boundaries are crossed, emotions escalate rapidly, as seen in this confrontation. The moment serves as a reminder that respect and clear limits are essential, particularly when dealing with strong personalities and high-stakes social situations. Both women's responses reflect different approaches to conflict resolution. Ms. Nell prioritized family protection, emotional honesty, and maintaining respect. Ms. Wanda emphasized assertiveness, bluntness, and expressing her perspective regardless of the consequences. These contrasting approaches highlight the complexities of human interaction and the challenges of balancing personal truth with social diplomacy. When strong personalities collide, the result is often explosive, revealing, and unforgettable. Throughout the exchange, viewers were given insight into the emotional architecture of each woman. Ms. Nell's reactions showed how deeply she values family, respect, and accountability. Ms. Wanda's actions reflected her belief in speaking boldly and not retreating from confrontation. This juxtaposition created a dynamic that was as informative as it was dramatic. Audiences were able to observe how pride, emotion, and past experiences influence decision-making and interpersonal interactions. The lasting impression of this moment goes beyond the immediate argument. It highlights how easily conversations can spiral when emotions dominate logic. The interaction between Ms. Nell and Ms. Wanda shows how strongly held beliefs, personal values, and protective instincts can create conflict. It also demonstrates the importance of understanding motivations, recognizing triggers, and respecting boundaries to prevent unnecessary escalation. For viewers, the confrontation offered a mirror to real-life experiences. Many have faced situations where family, pride, or emotional investment led to conflict. Watching the clash unfold provided insight into the mechanics of disagreement, the subtle ways tension manifests, and the challenges of managing strong emotions in public and private settings. Reality television at its best exposes these truths, allowing audiences to learn, reflect, and relate. The exchange also reinforces the role of personality and communication style in conflict. Ms. Wanda's unapologetic approach and Ms. Nell's protective instincts are both valid, but when combined, they produce friction. The clash serves as a case study in emotional intelligence, social navigation, and the consequences of conflicting interpersonal strategies. The intensity, authenticity, and stakes of the argument make it a memorable moment in reality television history. As the argument concluded, there was no clear winner. The emotional impact remained, the boundaries had been tested, and the dynamics of power and respect had been laid bare. What viewers witnessed was a natural, human reaction to perceived disrespect and boundary violation. The confrontation offered insight into human behavior, illustrating how emotions, pride, and protective instincts intersect in high-stakes situations. In summary, the clash between Ms. Nell and Ms. Wanda was more than just heated words. It was an intense, multi-layered interaction that revealed vulnerabilities, motivations, and emotional strategies. The argument reflected themes of respect, family, boundaries, and personal values. It also provided a compelling example of how reality television captures raw human emotion, the consequences of strong personalities, and the power of emotional authenticity. This moment continues to resonate because it reflects universal experiences of pride, protection, and the challenges of navigating interpersonal conflicts.